In the previous video, we connected to data. Now in this video, we'll cover Tableau's interface and key elements. I'm using a Windows computer. The layouts may look slightly different on a Mac, but most functionality is the same. Currently, we're on a sheet, and this is where visualizations are built to explore data. Towards the top, we have menus with a lot of different options in them, and we'll cover some of those in more detail as we progress through the videos. Just below the menu is a toolbar with buttons. Some options are grayed out right now, but they'll be available once you've created your first visualization. One button that I want to draw your attention to is the undo button here. It's the back arrow. As you begin to work with data, you should feel free to try new things. Try options that I don't show you in these videos and click around to see how the software functions. That's a great way to learn the software. Having an undo button means that you can always undo what you've just done if you don't like what you see. To the left of your screen, you'll see a data pane, and it lists all fields from your data source. These are grouped into dimensions and measures with a very slight gray line separating them, and you can see it here where I'm pointing on my screen. Everything above the line is a dimension. Dimensions are fields that represent categories or labels, but not real numbers. For example, the field called Dest City Name, that's the city name that the destination airport is in. Any field that you see below the line is a measure. Measures are real numbers where it makes sense to create statistical summaries, like averages and sums. For example, the field called Departure Delay in Minutes is the total departure delay per flight. Sometimes you can have numeric fields that are not real numbers. For example, a flight number. Even though it's numeric, it doesn't make sense to ever take a sum or an average of a flight number. Tableau automatically assigned it as a measure, and I see that here, but if we want to categorize it differently based on our knowledge of the data, we can do that. Let's select it and drag it and drop it up here into the dimensions. And now I see that it's changed how it's categorized it. Measures and dimensions influence how our visualizations are built. Keeping this in mind helps you understand how the software functions when you drag and drop. Let's see how it works. Let's take the dimension called Main Delay Cause, click on it, hold it, drag it, and drop it out here into this area. This space that I just dropped it into is often called the view or the canvas. And now I have my first visualization. Because this field is a dimension, Tableau shows the data as a table of each unique category in this field. Towards the bottom is a status bar, and you can see that down here in the bottom left. And this is useful because it shows you the number of marks in the view. In Tableau, you can think of marks as being the data points that are shown in your visualization, and they can be shown as text, dots, circles, lines, bars, or many other symbols. It's saying here that we have 5 marks, and that means that we have 5 different types of delay in our data, which we see represented as 5 rows of text shown in our table. We see an ABC here because we haven't yet told Tableau what numbers we want to summarize and show for each category. Let's hit the undo button. Now, instead of a dimension, let's select a measure. Let's take departure delay in minutes, select it, drag it, and drop it out here into our view. And I want you to notice that this builds differently, and that's because this field is a measure, so Tableau summarizes it. This is called aggregation in Tableau lingo. By default, Tableau will use a sum for the aggregation, and we can see that noted here as sum, and then in parentheses, we have the field name departure delay in minutes. Across all flights in our data, there's a total departure delay of nearly 358,000 minutes. Here we could change this instead of a sum to an average. You select the drop down like this, and then you go to measure, and then you find average. And now we see it shown as an average. You see that it changed here, how it's showing it. It doesn't say sum anymore, it says average, and then the parentheses. And this is the average delay for all the flights in our data set, and that's around 68 minutes of delay per flight on average. So the point here is that we can immediately see that Tableau's default behavior is to build your visualization differently depending on if you're using a dimension or a measure. Dimensions come out onto the view as themselves, and measures come out onto the view as aggregates. This is the foundation of how the software works, and it is incredibly helpful to keep in mind as we move forward. We often use dimensions and measures together. Let's take the dimension main delay cause and click it, drag it, and drop it here into the rows shelf towards the top of the interface. Now we have a table that shows there are 5 types of delays, along with the average number of minutes of delay for each one. We can see now that whenever weather delay is the main cause for a flight, the flight tends to be delayed for much longer on average than these other types of delay. We control the level of granularity by the dimensions that we include. Here we get 5 marks, 1 for each type of delay. But if we want to see the average again across all of the data instead, you can simply remove delay cause from the row shelf by dragging it off and dropping it back into the data pane. And here we get 1 mark again. And then to go back again, you could select it and drag it back into your rows again. This aggregates at the level of main delay cause again. Dimensions define the number of marks or the granularity of the view. At the bottom, let's double-click on the Sheet 1 tab and rename it as Average Delays by Cause. And then hit Enter. Tableau will also add that name as a title to the chart. But if you don't like that, you can double-click on the chart title and give it a different name than the sheet name if you would like. And you can do that here and then click OK, but I won't. You can also create a new sheet by clicking this button towards the bottom that has a plus sign. Hovering shows a new worksheet prompt. You can also right-click and delete a sheet. And then there's also buttons down here at the bottom for creating tabs for dashboards and also for stories. We'll get to that in later videos. A helpful feature that I like to use is duplicating a sheet. I'll right-click on my sheet right now and select Duplicate from the menu. And this will create a copy of our chart that we can continue to modify. Then I'll click on the Show Me tab, which is in the top right corner, and I'm going to select the type of chart called a horizontal bar chart here. So I'll select that, and then I'll hide that Show Me menu again. And you can see that it changes our type of data visualization from a text table to a bar chart. By default, the bars in our chart are sorted alphabetically by main delay cause, and I can see that here on the y-axis. But if you want to change that, we can hover over the x-axis, and then that will bring up this quick sort icon. You can click on it once, and the bars sort descending by average delay. You can also click it again, and it changes the sort to ascending. And personally, I like bar charts that are sorted by descending or ascending because I think it's very helpful for quickly identifying the top or bottom values in your chart. And it's even more useful if you have a lot of bars in there. If you want to go back to the way the original data is sorted, there's also a helpful button in the toolbar up top that you can use to clear all of your sorts. And it's this one with an X here. You have to select that drop-down caret, and then you can select Clear Sorts. Before this video ends, I want to draw your attention to the Save button. Tableau does not automatically save your work, so you do need to remember to save your work periodically. For some versions of Tableau, hitting the Save button may prompt you to log in and store your Tableau workbook on the cloud within your Tableau Public profile, where everyone can see it. And you see that here. I'm going to close it. Instead of doing that for these tutorials, you can save it locally on your computer. You can do that by going to File, Save As, and then you can hit Save. You will often get a prompt that says, "Are you sure you want to replace this file? It already exists." And you can click Yes that we want to save or replace that file. I'll stop the video here and show you more about the Tableau interface and how to use it in the next video.